This is Golden Stories, and if you're enjoying the fire already, hit like and subscribe because today's tale will rattle both sides of the fence. The county courthouse in Atlanta was supposed to be a cathedral of justice, but on this morning, it became a circus. Judge Rebecca Langford sat high on her bench, robe flowing like a queen's gown, lips curled into that permanent sneer she reserved for defendants who didn't look like her. Everyone knew her reputation: harsh sentences for black defendants, leniency for her country club friends. They called her Queen Becky behind closed doors. And then it happened. Officer Marcus Hill, a black cop with 12 years on the force, entered her courtroom with a warrant. Not a subpoena, not a polite request, a federal warrant for her arrest. The room went still. Court reporters froze mid-typing. Defendants and their families stared wide-eyed, unsure if this was a prank. But Marcus wasn't joking. He held the paper high, and his voice rang like a gunshot. "Judge Langford, you are under arrest for obstruction of justice and conspiracy." She laughed, an ugly, throaty sound. "You? Arrest me? I am justice in this county. Sit down before you lose that badge." Marcus didn't move. He stepped forward, boots echoing on polished wood. "Ma'am, step down from the bench." The gallery gasped. She slammed her gavel so hard the handle cracked. "I'll have you fired before sundown. You're nothing but hired help in a uniform." Whispers turned to nervous laughter. Some were horrified. Some secretly enjoyed the downfall brewing. Marcus stayed calm, hand hovering over his cuffs. "Step down now. If you're hooked, smash that like button, because what happens next will spin this courtroom upside down." This is still Golden Stories, and if you're feeling the heat, don't forget to like and subscribe because this courtroom is about to erupt. Judge Langford rose slowly, robe swaying, face crimson with rage. "Do you know who I am?" She spat, her voice dripping venom. "My family built this county. My father was mayor. My brother runs the state bar. You think anyone is going to believe a street cop over me?" She dragged out the words like poison, making sure the insult landed. Marcus didn't flinch. His jaw tightened, but his voice stayed firm. "This warrant was issued by a federal judge, not me. Either you step down peacefully or I escort you down." The gallery stirred, some smirking, others shifting nervously. A defense attorney whispered, "I've waited my whole career for this." Rebecca's eyes darted around the room, desperate for backup. She pointed at the bailiffs. "Arrest him! Right now!" But the bailiffs hesitated. Everyone knew Marcus, knew his record, knew he wasn't the type to play games. One of them actually took a step back, shaking his head. "Ma'am, he's got authority. That's federal." The color drained from her face. For the first time, the queen looked cornered. But instead of surrendering, she doubled down. She ripped off her robe, revealing her designer dress underneath, and stormed down from the bench. "Fine," she hissed, chest heaving. "But you'll regret this. You think your word stands against mine? You're just another uniform, another nobody. When this is over, I'll own your badge, your pension, and maybe even your house." Marcus held out the cuffs, calm as a statue. "Hands, please." The audience leaned forward, every phone in the room lifted, cameras ready. If this story has your blood pumping, smash that like button, because what's coming next will blow the roof off this courthouse. Silence in the courtroom thickened like fog as Rebecca stormed down the aisle, heels clacking, face a furious storm. She planted herself before Marcus, chest heaving, lips trembling with entitlement that had never known no. Cameras blinked, phones rose like a tide. "You'll pay," she hissed. "You and everyone who backs you." Marcus's expression was unreadable, eyes steady. He clicked the cuffs. "Judge Langford, you are under arrest," he said again, voice low. The words landed differently this time. She spat a string of insults, old lines she used on defendants, racism wrapped in practiced superiority. "You people," she sneered, "always playing up grievances." A lawyer in the gallery flinched, others shifted with discomfort. The judge shoved Marcus, a small, desperate act. He didn't retaliate. He took a breath and followed procedure. Gentle, firm, precise, reading rights as though reading a script that finally applied to her. Outside, whispers spread like wildfire. Indictments, sealed records, corrupt donations, a bribery trail threading back through campaign coffers and construction bids. Marcus had spent months assembling facts, documenting transfers, recording conversations where she promised leniency for money and favors. Each file was a nail in a coffin Rebecca had been building for herself. She tried one last gambit, appeal to the crowd with crocodile tears, invoking family, legacy, a life of service. It flickered for a heartbeat. A few eyes softened. Then a woman stood, voice steady, and said, "My brother served 6 years because of her. She lied on the stand." The room shifted. Testimonies unspooled, names dropped like stones. Evidence, once hidden, now gleamed under scrutiny. Rebecca's face drained. The empire of excuses she'd constructed began to crumble, brick by brick, in front of everyone who once worshipped her robes. Her judgeship, her prestige, her veneer, everything was being dismantled now. By the time Rebecca was escorted out of the courthouse, the crowd outside had swelled into a spectacle the city hadn't seen in years. Reporters screamed questions, microphones jabbed forward like bayonets, and cameras flashed so violently it looked like daylight had returned. Rebecca tried to cover her face with her cuffed hands, but the image was already immortalized. The mighty Judge Langford, daughter of privilege, dragged into a police car like any street criminal. Marcus didn't gloat. He didn't smirk. He walked calmly beside her, shoulders squared, eyes fixed forward. But the city noticed, black mothers noticed, white fathers noticed, children noticed. They saw something America rarely delivers, a reversal so sharp it cut deep into the myth of untouchable power. Within hours, her empire began to rot from the inside. Her father's corporations bled stock value after leaked recordings tied him to her schemes. Political allies scrambled to deny ever knowing her. Law firms shredded contracts that had her signature on them. The mansion gates, once guarded by private security, now became a shrine for protesters. Candles and signs lined along the pavement reading, "Justice finally served." Inside her holding cell, stripped of designer clothes and authority, Rebecca sat on a steel bench. The same kind of bench she once told young black defendants was their natural place. Now it was hers. She begged for a call. None came. Her friends were gone, her influence shattered, her name forever poisoned. Marcus, meanwhile, became a symbol, not of revenge, but of accountability. His quiet strength, his patience in the face of humiliation had built this moment. It wasn't just his victory. It was a reminder to every person watching that corruption, no matter how gilded, can burn. This is still Golden Stories. If you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories that hit deep.